What's going on, everyone? Pro-Verbs here, back again with another one. Good morning, good morning, good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to this. Um, hey, right now I'm dropping my daughter off to school. I start work. I'm gonna be a little bit late, but hey, it is what it is. So anyway, today I want to talk about spending time with your children. That's right, fellas, ladies. You gotta spend time. You got to spend quality time. You got to spend that type of time with them so that you can be able to raise them the way that you see fit. In this time now that we're living in, it's either the schools or the streets that are raising them. But we have to put in that time. We got to find that time, because you don't want them to go astray. You don't want them to grow up rebellious. You don't want them to grow any kind of way. Because, listen, if you don't spend that type of time with them, somebody else is going to teach them. Someone else is going to indoctrinate them, whether it be the school, the streets, or whoever, their peers, you know? So you want to be able to put in that work. You want to be able to teach them the way that they should go, you know, or, basically they just going to do whatever, you know, and you don't want that. So sometimes, even as a parent, you got to make sacrifices. You got to make sacrifices. And even if, both parents are not together, say you have to co-parent, you know, both parties have to play their part. I know sometimes we get caught up with everyday activities, work, things you got to take care of, but never neglect to like really be there for your children and not just be there just to have fun, but you got to be able to teach them. You got to grow them up the right way. You got to grow them up in the fear of God so that they may never depart from it. You want your children to be able to be very, very, very conducive in this world where they can be useful, where they can be able to be pleasing unto God, you know. So you definitely got to be proactive in their life. Be proactive, you know. Take them places, show them things, um, let them know what's even going on in this world. You got to let them know what's going on. Teach them the differences between what is good and what is evil, you know, because you don't want them to try to find out things on their own and then they're not sure which way to go, what to do, So it's your job, your responsibility as a parent, because you're their first teacher. You are their first teacher, and you should teach them, show them the way. Unless if you wasn't brought up like that. But the thing is, when you bring a child up in this world, you are held accountable for how they grow up into this world. So, if you have some bad children, hey, that's an image on your part. That's all on you, you know. But I understand sometimes you can do the best you can and they may go off on their own path and do their own thing. But the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. Now, they made the part, they made the part from the teachings for a while, but they will always remember. That's the thing. Sometimes you have to allow a child to go through certain things. You may teach them, hey, don't go this way, don't go that way. And they may be rebellious and then do their own thing and go whichever way they choose to go. But the thing is, when you allow them to make their mistakes, trust and believe they're gonna remember. They're gonna remember what you have taught them and say, "Oh man, I should have listened to dad. Oh, I should have listened to mom. They were right." You know, sometimes you have to allow them to make their mistakes, but you gotta show them the right path from the get-go, from when they're young, from when they're young. And you can't have any kind of hypocrisies in your life. You know, you can't have no type of hypocrisies. You can't say like, okay, you're teaching them one way and they actually see you doing something different. You know, that's basically being a hypocrite. You tell them, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, but then at the end of the day, you're doing the same thing that you teach them not to do. You can't do that. And children, they learn from action. It's not so much of what you say, but it's how you're living, what they see you doing. Trust and believe. Children are always observing what you're doing. So you gotta watch what you say. You gotta watch what you do around them. Because sometimes you may think they're not looking. Trust and believe they looking, or they sneaking to try to hear what's going on. So you definitely gotta be careful with that, you know. And listen, never, never be too ashamed to admit when you're wrong about something. Don't be too ashamed to admit when you're wrong. Because if you did something wrong and your child sees it, or you may accuse them of something and they were honest about it, never admit to say that you're sorry. You got to teach them that way as well. Say, you know what? I was wrong about this. I'm sorry. So initially, when you're doing these things, it's showing them as well that they should take accountability for when they're doing anything that's wrong. You know, so you gotta be that that example. You gotta be a living example to them, so they can see and model off of your character, because you want them to grow up with such a character that it's gonna bring nothing but goodness for you, goodness for your name. You know, you don't want your child to put you to shame. You want to have a good name for yourself. Especially as a man, he wants to see his children grow up to be the best version of themselves and not put his name to shame, because your children are a reflection of the parents. you know so you want them to reflect you in a really good manner. Not saying it's always going to happen that way, and you may do the best that you can, but as I said, you got to spend time with them. You got to be proactive in their lives from when they're young. You got to start from when they're young and build it all in the way up. you know Sometimes we may be missing certain things that we overlook. We overlook certain things and we just so busy. But never get so busy that you don't know what's going on in their life. Some of them, they may look at it like you're being nosy, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that they're going to live a life that's productive and it's going to benefit them in the long run. That's the main thing. You want to make sure that what you do in their lives, it's going to benefit them in the long run. And you got to have a balance. You got to make a balance in your life between work, your responsibilities, your children, stuff like that. So yeah, that is my message for today. Oh man, I am running very late for work, but hey, it's all good though. I'm dropping my baby girl off to school. Ain't that right, baby girl? So anyway, hey, that's my message. And hopefully it encourages someone. And tuning out. Check y'all on the next one.